This incident happened about 100 years ago, on January 30, 1925, in the U.S. state of Kentucky. A cave explorer Floyd Collins enters a cave to explore it. The entrance to this cave was very narrow, so narrow that any human being could the only way to enter it was by crawling. It was very dark inside the cave, so Floyd carried a lantern with him as he moved forward into the cave. As he continued, Floyd reached a point beyond the reach of anyone, as the path ahead was so narrow. Had become a point in which it was not easy to enter. People who came to this cave would come to this point and return back, hence the name of this point. To proceed further into the cave, one had to cross this 9-inch squeeze hole. Floyd was at the end of the cave. Wanted to go to 600, so Floyd enters the hole like this and tries to crawl forward. Later the passage widens and Floyd arrives at a crystal chamber. This was the room in the cave that Floyd was looking for. Floyd was overjoyed to find this crystal chamber, as it was believed to make him rich. Floyd was about to go back out, and to get out he had to go through the same narrow path. Floyd had to go through that tight path. Was dragging himself forward when Floyd's hand dropped the red tent and it broke, revealing the cave inside. It gets very dark. Floyd was still trapped in a narrow passage 55 feet below the ground. But even in this situation, Floyd undaunted, as he had faced such dark paths before, Floyd slowly got to his feet. Is pushing his body forward when a stone breaks away from his foot and falls on his leg. Floyd gets caught in the stone. He tries hard to pull his leg out of the hole, but the stone fits into the narrow hole in such a way that Floyd's attempts to break free from the rock's grip fail. Floyd screams for help but is pinned to the ground. No one would have heard Floyd from so far down. Water was leaking from the hole he was trapped in, which was below Floyd. It was outside, and from here in a deserted and dark cave, the battle between life and death for Floyd Collins begins. Friends, what happened next to Floyd Collins will send shivers down your spine. The Kentucky Cave Culinary WA Nego A Khan Tunnel nor WA Pi BA Fun RX. And at 10 on Friday morning in the 1920s, there was a trend in America to look for underground tunnels. People were digging for tunnels in their fields. 200 people would dig and see if there was any tunnel in their fields. If a tunnel was found in someone's field, then it would be a good thing for him. Because in those times if someone had a tunnel, then that place would have become a tourist place and the owner of the tunnel would have taken his money from the people. He charges money to show 30 tunnels. The more natural and beautiful the tunnel, the more people would want to see it. At that time, this business was flourishing in America, and a young man named Floyd Collins also had a business. He dreamed of owning a tunnel that would provide him with a source of income and improve his family's financial situation. Floyd Collins. He and his brother dug up their entire field in search of the tunnel and luckily found a tunnel in their field. Floyd Collins invited people to come and see his tunnel, but the problem was that the tunnel was several kilometers inside the main road and there were already many tunnels on the main road, so people used to use the tunnels near the main road. People liked to watch it more and no one went to see Floyd's tunnel. To overcome this problem, Floyd Collins came up with an idea: why not go into partnership with the owner of a tunnel on the main road? That tunnel, he meets the owner of the tunnel and tells him that he will take care of his tunnel and will provide it to all the people who come to see it. He will show me the 425 tunnel, just for this work he should get a share of some money from the profits. This is Floyd's statement to the tunnel owner. He liked the idea and saw the advantage in that he would no longer have to spend his time showing people the tunnel, and Floyd told the tunnel owner that he would take care of the tunnel and that he would have to take a look at the entire tunnel so that he could show it to people. To avoid any problems, Floyd and the tunnel owner knew full well that there was a turnaround room in the tunnel beyond which no one could go. At that time, people were more eager to see the crystal cave and would also pay more money. Actually, the crystal cave is made of limestone. It is made up of 505 crystals. It takes thousands of years to form such a cave. The crystal cave looks very attractive. Floyd picks up a lantern and sets out to explore the tunnel. Little did he know that the tunnel he was entering is there. He has to fight the most dangerous fight of his life. As I just told you, Floyd's leg broke while returning. He gets stuck in the stone and he shouts loudly for help in that dark cave, trapped in this small tunnel. 24 hours pass since Floyd entered the tunnel. The next day after Floyd entered the tunnel owner returned with his son to the tunnel. His son sees Floyd's coat and hat at the mouth of the tunnel and shows them to his father. The owner of the 500 understood that Floyd was still inside the tunnel, but why didn't he come out? The owner of the tunnel immediately went inside the tunnel. 50% goes and calls out to Floyd, but there's no response from Floyd. Then he returns to the same turnaround room. Calls out to Floyd, and this time, through the small squeeze hole, Floyd's pained voice comes out, pleading for help. The tunnel owner immediately informed Floyd's family about the incident, and Floyd's brother, Homer, enters the cave to rescue him. Homer must overcome the squeeze point in this tight tunnel. It takes several hours before Floyd is found. Floyd's brother arrives and brings him a sandwich and some other food. He serves coffee and assesses the situation to see how Floyd can be rescued. Homer widens the tunnel. Homer brought a chisel and hammer and entered the tunnel again and started hacking away at the tunnel walls. But this only made the situation worse. The tunnel was damaged repeatedly. The walls were cracking, and there was a fear that the tunnel might collapse and Floyd might be buried and die. This was the first attempt to rescue Floyd. The plan fails. By now, 46 hours had passed since Floyd was trapped in this tunnel. This tunnel was the temperature was so tight that Floyd couldn't even turn over. Floyd's brother, Homer, had lost his courage. This cave was near the highway, so there a large crowd gathered, wanting to help Floyd, but seeing the squeeze hole, everyone became frightened. By the time he returned, Floyd had been trapped in the tunnel for nearly 71 hours, and the 9-inch squeeze hole had contained Floyd's small body. No one dared to go except brother Homer, but one reporter who was a real jerk was Floyd's. By the time I returned, Floyd had been trapped in the tunnel for about 7 hours and Floyd's small body was stuck in the squeeze hole of that tunnel. No one dared to go except brother Homer, but a reporter who was a real jerk, flopped. He was so eager to get the interview that he had to cross the 9-inch scuff hole and endure those sharp stones. Approaches Floyd and interviews him. The reporter comes out of the cave and the news is published in the newspaper. Within no time this news goes viral and it becomes an international sensation and thousands of people gather there to see it. People gather to see how Floyd Collins would get out. Floyd had been trapped in that tunnel for 80 hours. A plan is made to pull Floyd out with a rope. A police system is created in that tunnel and a rope is tied. Floyd is pulled out by tying it to Floyd's body. Here Floyd's body is being pulled out and the rock is hitting Floyd's leg. She wasn't ready to let go, and Floyd was screaming in pain. Floyd told his brother to pull him with the rope. Stop it or it will split in two, and this plan to save Floyd also failed. So far it has flopped. More than 100 hours had passed since he was trapped in the tunnel and a crowd of 10,000 people had gathered on top of the tunnel as if there was no one there. It was very cold in the tunnel, so a bulb was installed there to keep Floyd warm. Time passed. But no way could be found to get Floyd out until now. 15 hours had passed since Floyd was trapped there. Now Floyd's condition had become very bad. A rescue team comes to save Floyd. That team located. When we inspected the area, we saw that thousands of people were standing there watching the spectacle, and due to their weight the tunnel had sagged towards collapse. When a member of the rescue team goes near the Floyd, small stones start breaking off from that part and falling down. Then the member of the rescue team, seeing this, he tries to go back. By now Floyd had understood that it was no longer possible for him to escape. This tunnel could collapse at any time. Floyd didn't want to die alone in the tunnel, so he asked a member of the rescue team for water. But the water was flowing from under Floyd, and Floyd was drinking from it for so long. The bowl member understood Floyd's trick, that he wanted to trap him as well, so he quickly got out of the tunnel. Then the tunnel collapses, completely blocking Floyd's access through the squeeze hole. Food was being delivered to Floyd, but now Floyd's contact with the outside world was completely lost. Now efforts were made to save Floyd. A new plan was made for this. The plan was to make a way from the top to Floyd and get Floyd out, but the question was how to excavate above the tunnel. A path to Floyd could have been quickly created by digging with heavy machinery, but while digging with 100 machines, she wasn't ready to let go, and Floyd was screaming in pain. Floyd told his brother to pull him with the rope. Stop it or it will split in two, and this plan to save Floyd also failed. So far it has flopped. More than 100 hours had passed since he was trapped in the tunnel, and a crowd of 10,000 people had gathered on top of the tunnel as if there was no one there. It was very cold in the tunnel, so a bulb was installed there to keep Floyd warm. Time passed, but no way could be found to get Floyd out until now. 15 hours had passed since Floyd was trapped there. Now Floyd's condition had become very bad. A rescue team comes to save Floyd. That team located. When we inspected the area, we saw that thousands of people were standing there watching the spectacle, and due to their weight the tunnel had sagged towards collapse. When a member of the rescue team goes near the pylon, small stones start breaking off from that part and falling down. Then the member of the rescue team, seeing this, he tries to go back. By now Floyd had understood that it was no longer possible for him to escape. This tunnel could collapse at any time. Floyd didn't want to die alone in the tunnel, so he asked a member of the rescue team for water. But the water was flowing from under Floyd, and Floyd was drinking from it for so long. The bowl member understood Floyd's trick, that he wanted to trap him as well, so he quickly got out of the tunnel. Then the tunnel collapses, completely blocking Floyd's access through the squeeze hole. Food was being delivered to Floyd, but now Floyd's contact with the outside world was completely lost. Now efforts were made to save Floyd. A new plan was made for this. The plan was to make a way from the top to Floyd and get Floyd out, but the question was how to excavate above the tunnel. A path to Floyd could have been quickly created by digging with heavy machinery, but while digging with 100 machines, there was a fear that the vibrations from the machines might cause the entire tunnel to collapse on Floyd. Collaps's plan was to dig a road to Floyd by hand, but this plan was time-consuming. The second plan was finally chosen. It was estimated that it would take another 30 hours to reach Floyd by hand digging. It will take 103, but will Floyd survive that long? The light bulb that was installed to keep Floyd warm is still on. A contraption was used to connect a radio amplifier to the light bulb's wire, which caused Floyd's breathing to be interrupted. The radio amplifier was picking up fluctuations, which was proof that Floyd was still alive. While digging the tunnel to Floyd was becoming more and more likely, and by then, Floyd had been trapped in the tunnel for 220 hours, which had been destroyed in 30 hours. It had been 140 hours since it should have been dug in 130, but the tunnel was still not completely dug, and Floyd was starving at the bottom. Was fighting for his life, but then the situation took a turn for the worse. 5 days had passed since Floyd was trapped, and still Floyd. I was alive, but then that light bulb went off. The problem was, they wouldn't know if Floyd was alive or dead. Finally, on the 18th day, the excavation is completed and they make their way through the tunnel and reach Floyd's brother. Homer goes down to rescue Floyd, only to discover that Floyd is no longer alive and fighting for his life. The rock that crushed Floyd's leg weighed only 27 kilograms and was not made of stone. Was actually made of clay, but the tunnel was so tight that Floyd seemed unable to break or move the rock. It felt as if that rock had been waiting for Floyd in that tunnel for centuries. Friends, can you try a similar survival adventure? If you want to watch 1200 more videos, you will see a video on the screen which mentions a similar heart-wrenching incident of survival which will shake your soul. I will give you the video. I will meet